Final hour OverDrive continues. Brought to you by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. We got a big hour. Steve Caldwell later in the hour in studio. Speaking of which, in studio, there's our main man, Jack Armstrong. Great to see you, Jack. How you doing?
Good, Brian. How are you? Hey, O-Dog looks like he's been out on the golf course a lot. He's got a nice tan.
Got a great tan. He's losing weight. Looks good, feels good. He's about, what do you have, 5 handicap, 6 handicap? Losing the weight. He's not playing the best golf, but he does play a lot.
5 handicap? What are you, high? Come on, man.
He's on his A game.
Hey, Noodles. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How you doing, buddy? You look great. I love that suit.
Jack you're dialed in. You love the draft. You got to dress to impress for the draft,
it's
right?
festive. It's summertime, and it's, here I am, and I'm in good shape for the shape I'm in.
There you go.
Hey, Hazy, tell Jack, we haven't heard it ourselves, your conspiracy theory about the draft.
Yeah, so here's my conspiracy theory, because they've started this 2-day draft now, right, which is all about TV. It's all about building up anticipation for your big events, which that's what the NFL does, the NHL. They all do that. There's 58 picks. You'd think they could get through it tonight, but I understand the business side of it. We're in the entertainment business. The Raptors pick 31. So after the draft, the first round goes down tonight. It's all going to be, what are the Raptors going to do at 31? I think Bronny James is going to be available. I don't think he's going tonight. You tell me if you feel differently.
I'll be shocked if he goes.
I'd be shocked if he goes tonight. I don't think the Raptors are going to take him at 31. But I think the NBA understands that there's going to be 24 hours or 20 hours of speculation. Where's Bronny going? Would the Raptors take him? And even the Raptors themselves said, we like him. We're looking at it. It's almost like the Raptors. I could see, it's a conspiracy theory, admittedly, Jack, but I could see Adam Silver asking the Raptors, can you just at least don't say you're not taking him? You don't have to. It's your job. You do whatever you want. But pretend like you might so we can build up buzz for 24 hours that maybe he goes 31. That's my theory.
Well, it's an interesting theory. I do think it puts the Raptors in a very good position, not only from a Bronny James perspective, but for anyone out there that might have an interest in a player at the top 5 spots of the second round, you want to jockey your way ahead of them. So I really think that the value of that pick is significant.
Okay. Are you a believer that Bronny gets drafted in the next 24 hours? Do you think that definitively happens?
Yes.
First or second round, he will be drafted?
Definitely.
Okay.
I'd be stunned if he's not.
Yeah, that feels
He wouldn't put himself in this, and his father wouldn't allow it. And he's got the folks at Clutch who are very wired into the NBA community. They would not put him in this position unless they knew for a fact that somebody was going to take him.
How would that work?
What happens after that, though, Jack?
Yeah.
There's been people that have come on this show that have been like, this guy is barely going to be a prospect or someone that can play. So I get the last name and the clout, but what do you make of him actually being a player?
Well, I think a lot of it's based upon market. I would hope for his sake he doesn't play in L.A. with his father. I think that would be too much of a gong show. I would like to see him play in another market and start in the G League. When you looked at him coming out of high school, I mean, to commit to a Pac-12 school, you got to be a pretty good player. So when he was a high school player, he was a legit, really good prospect. Then he had the heart issue. Lost a number of months of development, and now you're jumping on a moving train when you come back. I think this year was a wash for him. I think he's a good young player. I think if he had a healthy freshman year, would I have liked to see him stay in college for one more year? Yes, definitely. But that's not the case. Do I think he can be a good player in the league down the road? Yes, I do, in the right situation.
So if the Raptors were to take him with that 31st pick,
that's a high pick for him.
Okay, let's say they move back, or what? Let's say the Raptors just take him. By this time tomorrow, he's a Raptor.
Hey, what
are we thinking about that?
It's show business. It's the entertainment business.
Okay.
The pressure, though, that you put yourself in terms of the G League games will sell out. That's for sure.
Right. That's right.
So it's gonna bump up to 905 attendance. That's where he's going to play. So, as long as people are realistic, and as a front office, whether you're Toronto or anybody else, you're going to have to do a really good job of lowering everyone's expectations and just saying, hey, this is a young man. It's going to take some time. Let's be patient. Let's bring him along slow. So whoever gets him, and even the Lakers, and the father's going to have to say something too, like, hey, man, back off. This kid's just going to be but it's a lot of pressure.
That's where I was going to go. The pressure of LeBron. Is there an organization that thinks that maybe, if they draft him, maybe the dad comes with in the last year of his deal type of thing? And are you concerned about the heart issue as well? I mean, obviously doctors and everybody would have cleared him and he seems like he's fine, but is that something that you have your doctors take a look into when you're doing your background check on Brownie?
Oh, I'm sure they have. I'm sure everyone who has any interest in him whatsoever has that information already. And, because that's obviously, the doctors in with all 30 teams, they are the ones that are red flagging guys when there's a medical issue, when they don't like what they see in the file. Obviously, you hear that a lot with, knee issues and that but, so definitely that would be an issue. And it doesn't seem that's going to be the case. I just look at him and he's attracting a lot of attention. And a lot of it's because of dad. Would I pick him and try to get the dad? Sure. But I personally, because I think the father's still a great player.
Yeah.
Is he one of the top 10 guys in the league now? No. But would I put him in the next 10? Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So to me, but you got to kind of have an understanding already that you'd be able to get him. And I think his intention is to return to the Lakers.
Feels that way for sure. Jack Armstrong with us, night one of the NBA draft tonight. This is not anywhere close to the same hype of a draft that was last year. When Wemby was coming up, we had been talking about him for years. 21 years ago tonight, LeBron got drafted, and that might be the greatest top 10 in NBA history. Close to it. LeBron won. We know Melo went. Chris Bosh went fourth.
Dwayne Wade
went fifth.
Yep.
It was just a great, great draft. But I also wonder, and this might be getting a little bit deep, but the fact that the two kids that are supposed to go 1-2 tonight, French players, international players, you look at who's been winning the MVP recently, Jokic 3 times, Embiid, Giannis. Like, is he getting this much attention simply because of his name, or is there like an American element to this too, where it's like this game's going so international that like the American press and the American Basketball Association's like, we got to catch up here a little bit. Like, we got to keep up at a minimum with these star players that are all international. Because you look at Shea was top 3, Luka, like these are all international players who are kind of taking over the NBA right now.
Well, as a former NCAA Division I coach, our system in the United States is a gong show. The whole AAU system.
Why?
Why? Well, it's all about games, and it's not about creating a fundamental base of how to play the game and how to play the game the right way. We're just all caught up in playing as many games as possible and getting to the best school as quick as possible and getting to the NBA as quick as possible. And we're skipping steps. And I look at in college basketball now, I'm fine with the players getting paid. The name, image, likeness, I'm cool with that. 14 years as a college coach, I'm okay with that. The thing I don't like is a transfer portal where guys can leave and play at 4 different schools.
Right.
Think about when you were 18, 19 years old. Do you really know what you want? And 99% of these guys will never play professionally. And a lot of them end up then leaving without a degree, and they have nowhere to go back to in terms of the next 40 years of their life. That's a whole nother story. But I think when you're changing teams every year and coaches every year, I think that has a bad impact on your development as well.
Mm-hmm. I also think, Jack, it's good for kids. I got drafted to Guelph, and it was like, that's where you're going. I didn't have the clout of an Eric Lindros or somebody like that to say I'm not showing up there, but I think it's good for kids to say that's where you're going to live and play hockey.
Yeah,
and make the most of it.
Well, there was a guy I used to work for used to say, every decision that happens in your life could be the wrong one. It's on you to make it the right one. So figure it out. And I think what we're doing is we're giving kids an escape hatch every chance they want it. And, we're developing a lot of times athletes that quitting is okay. And in my book, it's not.
I love that. Yeah, Jack
Yes.
Armstrong with us. Once we get through the draft, we get into free agency pretty quickly. It's been reported this week Scotty's going to sign the Supermax which was a formality.
Do we have a hat to pass around for the poor guy?
Right, I know. The guy's going to make a fortune. And, it was determined when they moved off Siakam, when Van Vliet left, they moved off Anunoby. Like, it was the passing of the baton. It's Scotty Barnes' team, as we know. And, they made the trades, and they got quickly. They'll get done. They've got RJ here.
Yep.
They got to figure out what they're going to do with Pirtle. But he's going to need help, and they're going to need to do something here at some point. What do you anticipate their offseason to look like? What are you bracing for here with the Raptors?
Well, obviously tonight you're not getting tonight and tomorrow. You're not going to get an all-star. You're going to get a good player. When the Raptors were very good, you look at spots 9, 10, and 11. They had guys that were legitimate pros that could come in the game and impact winning. DeLon Wright, Norm Powell, Fred VanVleet, yada yada yada. They had guys. So you have a guy or two out, or someone having a bad night, or whatever. You're still competitive. You're still good. What they lack right now is depth. Would you like another super? Sure, everyone wants that. But I think for them to have a start turning the thing again, you're not going to hit a home run tonight. You're not going to hit a home run tomorrow. You got to hit some singles and some doubles, be solid, continue to build the depth of your franchise. Free agency, this is not a great free agent class. Mm-hmm. You got two guys you got to make decisions on, Bruce Brown and obviously Gary Trent Jr. To me, I think I wouldn't go overboard on either one. I think, it's got to be, you want to keep Bruce Brown for one more year. Is there a huge trade market for him? Only time will tell. Gary Trent, it's got to be at the right number. Mm-hmm. You look at what Malik Monk signed for in Sacramento, that kind of set the bar right there. And quite frankly, Malik Monk has been a little bit more consistent than Gary. So, that's setting the tone a little bit. So I think if you can get Gary Trent back at the right number, right term, sure. Bruce Brown, you got to make a decision if there's a market for him. But bottom line, their needs are shooting. They got to get shooting. Mm-hmm. Need more size, need more length, and backup playmaking. And bottom line, overall, with all that, is depth.
Yep.
So is this a 12-day process, or maybe it's a 12-month process? I would say it's more the latter.
I think it's the latter with Jack Armstrong. Right. And you also look around what's going on just within the division, where you got the world champs,
wow.
You got the Celtics, and now the Nets and the Knicks, who share a division, share a city, are making monster deals where Bridges is on his way to the Knicks.
Win-win for both sides, by the way.
Yeah, well, the Knicks are substantially better, but it also, like, Brooklyn's saying, we're done. Like, we're out, and they're going to be awful for years. Like, they have so many they're doing what Oklahoma City did a few years ago. And, like, how would you suggest the Raptors kind of approach that, where Boston's really good and they're going to be good for a while. The Knicks are good. I think
Philly's good.
And
they got cap space to sign a significant guy.
And then you got Brooklyn, who I think is even further south than where the Raptors are at, because they don't even have a Scotty at this point. But the Raps, like, what should we make of what's going on within the division, let alone the rest of the conference of the league?
People forget this. The Raptors, when they had a lot of success, the Atlantic Division was down.
Right.
Philly was tanking. Boston wasn't very good. The Knicks weren't good. The Nets hit and miss. So you could win 11, 12 of your 16.
Within the division they were winning.
So you could be division champ. There's some division champ banners up in Scotiabank Arena. So now you're looking at it. There are 12 games next year that you're likely the underdog. Mm-hmm. And there are 4 against the Nets that you hope
probably can win.
You could probably win, or you could probably win 3 out of 4, whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's hard, because you're playing 32 games against the West. There's a lot of really good teams out there. There are not many games that you're going to be the favorite in. Mm-hmm. And then you look around your conference. The good thing is the Eastern Conference is weaker than the West. So that's good. The problem is the division you play in, oh boy.
Well, here's some breaking news. Adrian Wojnarowski tweeting, OG Anunoby intends on signing a 5-year, $212.5 million deal to stay in New York with the Knicks. Wow. So they don't make that deal yesterday unless they know OG's coming back.
Yes, and by the way...
that's a monster contract.
Leon Rose's son, the president, his son is OG's agent.
Okay, so that works. Is that collusion? What is that supposed to mean?
Whatever it may be. I love Leon, but his son is OG's agent. So...
Do you like the Knicks to challenge Boston now, like based on what you've seen
Well,
here?
they're putting together a team that kind of matches how you defend the Celtics.
On the wing. And
Correct.
Yeah.
The one thing is, they're going right up against the hard cap now in terms of the apron and all that. So they're going to have to make a decision on what they do with a Julius Randle.
Right.
And then Hartenstein, the other big, is a free agent. He'll have a lot of attention. So I think they do need a little size. Everyone's obsessed with the fact that they can play Randle at the 5. I still think you need some side. Mitchell Robinson will be back. But I thought Hartenstein proved that he could be a real good player. They got to make a decision on what they're going to do with Randle. But they're legit. And I tell you what, if Philly gets a third guy, they're going to be really good. And that guy can coach, as we know.
Yes, Nick can definitely coach. Well, it's going to be an interesting week and a half. That's for sure. And we look forward to seeing what comes of it tonight. Raptors pick it at 19, then they pick at 31. So you got to get something here, right? Like you said, you're not expecting an all-star, but you got to pick players who can
get good
perform
players
for you.
Give me a Norm Powell and a DeLon Wright.
I'll take it.
A Fred VanVleet and whatever. I mean, just give me 2 good players, and off we go.
Yep, that's exactly what you need. All right, Jack, we're getting closer to football season, too. How you feeling about your Bills? Have we talked to you since Diggs left?
No, you
Stephon,
haven't. No, you haven't.
What are they? Who's he throwing to this year?
There'll be enough candidates.
You're okay with?
I think they'll be better than people think.
Listen, with that quarterback, and McDermott can coach them into the playoffs. I know people don't love McDermott.
I thought he did a great coaching job last year.
Well, look how
he struggles against Andy Reid.
Yeah.
But
Who doesn't?
He's done a great job there. And, and there's stability there, which I think is really important.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing rumors. There's just rumors right now that OverDrive is going to go on the road and do a show from Buffalo. Is this true?
Well, that's our plan.
Not true. We don't travel. We're a great show, but
we could all tailgate together.
I would love to do that.
It's a
Jack.
great
like
thing
to
to
see?
do, Jack, but we just don't do that stuff.
Who do you want to see jump through a table out of the 3 of us?
Oh, Noodles definitely.
Yeah, Noodles.
Really? I'd end up hurting myself.
O-Dog's too light now. I mean, it wouldn't be a...
That's right. The table would
Bounce
break
off
him.
the table.
He'd
Yeah,
bounce right off the
exactly.
table.
No, I mean, because there's a Monday night game, like week 3, if I'm not mistaken. So you could do your Monday show right from Buffalo, have a big stage.
Jack,
35% of the fan base is Canadian.
We've had all kinds of great ideas like that, but they get flushed down the toilet.
And I can hang with you guys, and we can...
It could be great. It could be great, but it's just not happening.
Now we're doing our show from that
play
wing
beer
place
pong
down
there and all that. Be fun.
I love this idea. Yeah. Are my Packers
Anchor Bar.
rolling through town this year? I don't know if they are. I don't
they're
think
not.
they just did, right? They were just there a couple of years ago.
Anchor Bar. We're going to do a show from the Anchor Bar and then right over to jump through a few tables right into the building. I think we should do
Count me in.
I love this
I'm
idea,
in.
John.
I have a great tailgate location.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? You got to be a part of the tailgate. Yeah, they
Right.
got the Jags in town.
Yeah, that's the Monday night
That's
game.
the Monday
So that's
nighter.
a perfect. I was thinking about that. You guys doing your show from there.
I love that idea. And furthermore, the Sabres will probably be in camp. We'll go check out to see what they're doing, too. There's a lot cooking
I saw
down there.
Lindy Ruff last week at a golf tour. I was in a golf tour.
How's that going over, Lindy, coming home?
I'm
Coming back
excited.
to Buffalo.
I think for him, this is personal.
Right.
This is legacy. This is his last job. He's going to finish his career as the head coach of the Sabres. I mean, and to me, I think it's personal. I think they realized they messed up when he left the last time. And to me, I think he's a great fit for them.
Okay. Well, we're pulling for him.
And I'm thrilled. By the way, I'm thrilled for Paul Maurice as well.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
I like Paul was a good man when he was here with the Leafs, and I'm really happy for him. So
Yeah, that was a
I'm
really
excited
cool
for
moment.
Paul.
Yeah.
That was awesome to see. All right, Jack, great stuff, buddy. Good seeing you. Enjoy the draft and free agency, and we'll do it again soon.
OverDrive in September in the Below.
I love it. I love it. Wheels are in motion.
Let's get it
The
going.
wheels
Our
are in
people will
motion.
talk to your people. Let's get
Let's
it done.
make it happen.
Yeah.
We'll absolutely. People are shaking hands, and we'll figure this stuff out. It's just a matter of time. The great Jack Armstrong joining us. Steven Caldwell coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Best Bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Jay's back in action tonight. NBA draft tonight, night 1 of the draft. Brad Treliving speaking down in Vegas. We'll get you an update on where things stand with the Leafs leading into the draft Friday night. But it was a triumphant evening yesterday down in Kansas City where Canada got themselves a win. They finally scored. Jonathan David gets on the board. Canada beats Peru. So they're still in the Copa America, and as we know, the Euro's continuing as well. And here's our main man, probably the busiest guy at TSN. Gotta be Steven Caldwell joining us, and you've joined us in studio. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks for having me. I was here already, so it's a pleasure to come in this lovely studio of yours.
It's a lovely studio in here.
What about these two? Why are they not here?
That's a great question. They've got bigger and better things to do, obviously. They're watching probably the Euros this afternoon.
Yeah,
that's what we're doing, pre-scouting, Stevie. We're doing a bunch of pre-scouting. What's with that headbutt yesterday, man? Let's get serious with that. That was nonsense.
That was shocking. That was absolutely shocking, wasn't it? To see a non-call by VAR. For that, I understand the referee because he's maybe not looking right at that incident.
Yeah, some other guy looked at that on a monitor and said nothing. That's insane.
Yeah, how do you explain that? I mean, it didn't end up mattering, I guess, in the end because they still won the game. But
well, luckily there was the tackle, which we'll get to, which meant there was the red card anyway. But it was a very baffling decision that VAR did not see that and decide that was a red card. That is a red card in any league anywhere in the world, and it was a big disadvantage for Canada.
Right.
Are they known as dirty players like Peru? Like are they known as a dirty team?
That manager's a little sneaky.
Oh, God.
He's like driving Canadians nuts with his pregame and the postgame last
He was
night.
talking about the Canadian players like they were the Philadelphia Flyers from the 70s.
Yeah, he said something about getting the fists up before the game and wanting to be in battle, and it was ridiculous to say that. I don't think Canada are overly physical, so that seemed to be their game plan. Certainly felt like physicality or intimidation was going to work, and thankfully our boys stood up to it.
Yeah, they did. I mean, that's significant. Like, obviously getting a win is big, and they're alive. They got Chile on the weekend, but scoring, like, has been such an issue for them, dating back even towards the end of CONCACAF, getting to the World Cup, the friendlies, they didn't score leading into this. We know what happened against Argentina, and it's Jonathan David, who's probably their best goal scorer to begin with. Like, how big of a monkey off the back moment could have that possibly been for Canada last night?
I think huge. I think very big for David as well. He needed that goal. He's been questioned a little bit, not for his work rate or his quality, but for his proficiency in front of goal. So he needed that moment. He needed to find the back of the net. The way that it came as well, I think, was really, really special goal. Brilliant passes. First one from Larin right into Schaffelber's feet, and then Schaffelber's pass to David was exceptional. Had to play it hard, and David had to get the touch right, which he did, and then the finish. It was like a world class. Kevin Coban called it a world class goal, and he's spot on. If that was sort of McAllister to Di Maria to Messi, we'd be showing it all around the world. It was that good a goal from Canada, and for David to get it, I think was even better for the team moving forward.
How much do you think Alphonso Davies still has left in the tank? How much more can he bring to this team where, he's the captain, he's the face of the program now. Every time he gets to the national team, they try to figure out where they're supposed to play him. Now Jesse Marsh has got that job to figure this out.
Are you talking age-wise, Hayes?
No, I mean in terms of impact on the pitch. Like I just watching last night, I thought he was somewhat, I don't want to say, I don't want to say he was like, he was reluctant to get involved, but it kind of looked at times like I was waiting for him to have a bigger impact on that match. Yeah,
I think at times he tries to do too much, takes on too much, whether he's left back or left midfield. He when you're playing in the field and you feel 2-3 players come towards you, then there's space somewhere else, somebody else is free, and I think hopefully as he matures he'll start to realise that he's got to offload it then, and they find the free player. He's still in that phase, I guess, of maturity in his career where he still thinks he can run through 3 or 4 players. And in fairness to him, he's done it before.
He can do it, yeah.
He's done it, he can do it. So it's a little frustrating at times because we all know how good Alphonso is and the player that he's capable of being, and that we see at times. But sometimes there's that inconsistency, and I'd rather he sort of like moved the ball quicker and then tried to maybe get it in the second, third, fourth pass.
What do you see him doing in Europe? Like, do you see him staying at Bayern, or is he going to move to the Premiership? Do you think he'll move around? Like, what's going to happen with Davies?
Well, the big debate is, does he sign that new deal with Bayern Munich? Because if he reportedly wants a lot of money, Bayern Munich are saying they don't want to pay it. So does he wait? If he waits every year or every term that he kind of waits, his fee gets lower. If his fee becomes, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 million, then I'm sure there's going to be every team in the world that will fancy them for that kind of money. So I think he leaves Bayern. I think he wants to go to Real Madrid. I think at this point there's some debate whether he's a fit for Real Madrid. I don't know if they see him as a sort of first choice left back, but he could play for a number of teams. Like, he's devastating on the switch. So if you're playing down the right and you manage to get it switched to him coming from that deeper area, he's absolutely devastating. So the biggest teams in the world see that pace and that power and think what a weapon he could be in a certain system. And so I'm sure he's going to be in Chelsea, Man United, Real Madrid, Barcelona's radar.
Steven Caldwell joining us here in studio. So the Euros, like, I don't know what to make of it through the group stage here. Like, I wouldn't describe it as electric. It's been somewhat routine. And like, even today, Portugal was through. They end up losing. You get that, I guess, with the third game where you kind of know where people are at. We were talking the other day, Spain was taking out basically their whole lineup because they knew where they were going. How would you describe the group stage so far?
I actually think it's been quite refreshing, just because some of the unsung heroes, some of the teams that you don't expect so much from, have been really excellent. They've been well organised. They've been progressive when they've had their chances to go and attack, whether it be counter-attack or certain style of play. And there's been a mixture in styles, which is always good to see. You don't want to see the same kind of football. You know, there's only so many teams that can keep it for 30, 40, 50 passes. It's like, it gets a little boring to me. And we've seen some really direct football. Romania, Slovakia have been excellent. Georgia's a big story today.
Yep.
So good as a team. 2 or 3 exceptional players, but just a team unit. So I think it's been good to have that sort of newness to, I guess, from the group stage. But once you get to the knockout, you want to see the big guys.
And that's what you're going to get. Like, Germany's through, Spain, Italy, England's through, France is through, Belgium's through, Portugal's through. Like, basically the big boys are through, right?
Yeah.
Like, is there anyone that didn't make it where you'd say, I can't believe they didn't make it?
No, not one team. Not one. But the 3 coming through from
right,
4
the
groups.
Netherlands through, and
Netherlands blew it, didn't they? They ended up being in third, but they're still through.
right.
You know, when there's 4 teams, from 6 groups in third place, it's no real big guy is going to miss it. But Belgium, as an example, messed up. They never topped the group, so now they're playing France in the last 16. Like, what an error that's probably
Right.
going to be for them. So you're still got to try and get the position, but it's kind of set up through this last 16 that, apart
Now
from
it's
that
go
game,
time.
there's a little bit of doubt. Every other top side should get through into the quarterfinals.
So who do you like now that we're basically halfway home?
Well, Spain have been excellent. Spain over 3 games have been so good, but they're often so good through the group stage. They're such a pleasing team to watch, and they usually score goals, look fluid through the group stage. I mean, when things tighten up, they sometimes find some trouble finding the answers. So I still like Spain, but I still feel good about Germany. They were my early pick. Maybe I'm too loyal to my prediction, but I still think Germany, even though they were pretty poor in that third game against Switzerland, are the team to beat at home when it gets to the knockout and they start to get that home support. It's very hard not to gain something extra from that kind of national pride when the competition is in your country. And with Musiala and Wirtz and Kroos, they've got an outstanding Neuer. I still think Neuer's the best goalie in the tournament. Still got the players.
So, Stephen, to bring it back to Canada, what is the view of Canada and their team from, I guess, maybe the outside? We obviously hyper-focused on it. The up and coming, is there, what's the ceiling there, basically? I mean, I know it was a big win last night. Where do you see them going from here, kind of on the against the big boys type of thing?
I think they've got to learn from nights like last night, Noodles, where they can certainly gain from that experience in terms of the moments of the match where maybe they could do a little bit better. If they want to control larger periods of games against the likes of Peru, and hopefully we're going to see it again, a good performance on Saturday against Chile. Take away Argentina, they're easily the best team in the world for me. We want to see them control parts of the match and be comfortable in possession and slow it down or speed it up depending on what the game needs. And I thought we saw a little bit of a nervy performance last night. But what I'll say is the growth from the experience in Qatar, to get through the moments and to ride out the sticky patches and sort of not concede was impressive. And this is why this tournament is so important for Canada. because they're going to get at least 3 games here that are of the level that you need to experience. You could talk to guys about it for 2 hours, 2 days, 2 weeks, until you stand there on that field and you realise there's 75,000 mostly Argentinians in Atlanta, and you're playing against Messi and you're playing against McAllister and Enzo and Martinez and these guys. You don't know what it's like, so you've got to be there, and you've got to gain from that experience, take something away, reflect, and then be better for the next time. So I hope and expect to see a better Canada against Chile on Saturday.
Steven Caldwell in studio. I want to play this clip that you supplied for us last time you were on. We want to thank you because we've played it about 15,000 times. Let's play this because we need a definition on what exactly this was setting the tone for.
A couple of whiskeys and 5 or 6 beers.
All right, so we've played that a lot. We love that clip.
love it.
We love that clip.
The best.
Is that a big night? Is that a pregame? Like what?
Is that an appetizer?
What did you just describe?
That's like
there?
the kind of night you say to your missus when you come back and she says, you know, what happened? You say, I just had a couple, you know. When your dad used to lie when you were growing up. You say, yeah, no, I had 1 or 2 pints, and that usually meant 4 or 5. So I think you can at least double that when you think about a real night out. And I don't want to tell tales, but we had a couple.
You had a good time?
A couple of whiskeys and 5 or 6 beers.
Yeah, we got a shout out from that place you went down to too, man.
Yeah.
They were great. The Caledonian, I think it's called. Yeah,
that's
that's a
going to
cool
come
spot.
in one night and we'll have a couple.
Oh, we'd love to. We'd love to. We'll absolutely take you up on
Kilban
that.
said, "Don't even bother doing it." He said, he is a mess the other night with you. He couldn't function."
Kilban and I are a bad combination when we get away. We don't see each other enough, but when we get to socialise, there's too many Guinness.
He's a beauty, eh? He's a great guy, man. What happened to Scotland here, Stevie? They got a draw out of it. I thought they were going to draw the last match there too. They were humming at the end, but what happened to our team? Why couldn't they compete a bit more?
Scotland were way short. The football was slow and pedestrian, and the tactics were way off. And our big guys didn't play well. I mean, you can lay that at their door. They should have been better. But for me, I think some of the sort of tactics that were set out by Steve Clarke were a little bit off in this competition. And we have to reflect as a nation and go away and come back stronger, hopefully, for the next one, because we're doing well in recent times. Recent Euros, we missed the World Cup to be at the competition. And then we get there and we freeze. And we try and play this really negative brand of football when we get people behind the ball, and we sort of play hopeful passes, and we were not brave in terms of the stepping out for the back, trying to play between lines. And you know, you see a Georgia, you see Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia. They've all played really good football, and there's no reason why we can't. We've got as good players as most of the teams that I just mentioned, but we didn't see the best version of ourselves. So again, honest reflection, and say, how can we be better for next time, and how can we get to the biggest stage and make it to the knockouts at one of these major competitions.
I'd love to see
Stevie,
it.
do you find it baffling how there's so much video available, pre-scouts and knowledge, for a team to use the phrase that you just mentioned, poor tactics?
Yeah.
How is that even possible with you know exactly what's in front of you and what you excel at? How could that even happen in today's world? You must find it baffling.
Yeah, I think I totally agree, old dog. It is baffling because you can analyse teams, you know, every coaching staff's going through, you know, multiple games for the opposite team and coming up with a plan where there's some opportunities against that team. But it's one thing potentially coming up with a plan. It's another thing being brave enough to activate it and to actually get on the ball and pass it around. Like Scotland was so static, no movement. It looked like a bunch of guys really frightened to make mistakes. And what this Euros has shown us is you can't play at the top level if you're frightened to make mistakes. You've got to be brave. You have to take some form of risk these days in football. And the best teams in this tournament are taking risks. They're playing passes that are between lines, between players. You think about a guy like Toni Kroos, who's every time he gets it, passes forward. He plays passes in at Gundogan and Musiala and Wirtz that are so effective and allow them to be the best version of themselves. And then you look at maybe one of the favourites in England who are doing a version of Scotland's tactics, just with much better players. And it's boring to watch. Nobody wants to pass forward because nobody wants to be that guy who makes a mistake and gets the pass intercepted that might lead to a goal. fortune favours the brave in football these days. So the team that wins this tournament, I think, will be a team that are very positive and stay on the front foot for the entire tournament.
Love it. All right.
I had one quick one for you, Steven. Mbappe had to wear that mask. He's got the broken nose. Like, even if you broke your nose, would you wear that mask? Because I feel like he didn't want to wear it. He took a penalty kick with it on. Why don't you take it off when you're taking a penalty kick? Yeah. I didn't understand that. Like, I don't know, walk me through it. I know he had the broken nose or whatever, but I feel like certain guys would be like, I don't care. I'm not wearing that mask.
Yeah, I think it mostly comes from the medical staff. The only story I have on the mask is my brother wore a mask once. I think he broke his cheekbone. He had a compound fracture in his cheekbone. He had to wear the mask. They wouldn't let him play unless he wore the mask. And he hated it. It actually did take it off, Noodles, to your point. I don't think it was within a game, but by the next game, he was like, I don't care if it gets smashed again. I'll go get another operation. Because he couldn't see anything come from the side. It really affects your vision. And Mbappe didn't look comfortable in the game. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him in it for the next game. It's just whether he's brave enough to take another bang on the nose and see it smashed all over his face again.
Yeah, man, it's a different look. It is a different look. All right, Stevie, great seeing you, man. Great stuff so far. You guys are halfway home in the Euros. Not quite there on the Copa America, but it's been a good ride so far. And enjoy yourself, and I'm sure we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
You got it. There's our buddy Steven Caldwell. Again, the Euros and Copa American continuing on TSN and right here on TSN Radio as well. We'll come back with our best bets and rehash what Brad Treliving had to say about the Leafs plans moving forward down in Vegas. We'll do that next. All right, today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. The total in the ball game tonight, 9.5. I'm on the over. The bats have been alive at Fenway for both teams. Pitching has not been great for either team. Gosman, I guess, notwithstanding at times yesterday. But I'm on the over. You got to pay a little juice. But you got Rodriguez on the mound for the Jays, Crawford for the Sox. I don't know who wins this game. I lean Red Sox winning it and taking the series. But I'm on the over tonight, 9.5 runs. Best bets powered by FanDuel. The first inning means as much as the ninth when you bet baseball on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. Must be 19 plus, physically located in Ontario. As we've mentioned, Brad Treliving was speaking with the media, somewhat of an impromptu presser. The draft is on Friday. I'm not really sure why 6 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday there was a prep. Maybe Strutty's onto something here, these pressers. I don't know. But
did he say, other than just reading the transcripts?
Do we have anything from
Love
him?
Mitch Marner.
No,
you know what I think of him. And
I don't know if we even have anything, but let me read a couple of quotes.
Yeah,
all right. Here's Chris Johnston's tweet. Okay, Brad Treliving declines to address any speculation on what comes next for Mitch, but said multiple times that, quote, he's a star. Okay, and Brad Treliving, again on Marner media speculation, said, quote, I didn't see what was reported today. I'm sure there will be more reports tomorrow. I can't get wrapped up in the noise. He went on to say, I'd caution us to not pay much attention to the noise. We can't react to all the noise. Mitch knows how I feel about him as a player, end quote. I don't know what that means. You can feel great about a player. You can love a player. That doesn't, Masai Ujiri felt great about DeMar DeRozan as a player, but felt he had to go. Conversely, maybe what that's saying is that all the noise is completely bogus and they're going to plug along here with the core four. I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. I guess he didn't say definitively Mitch Marner will be back. He just said, I'm not getting into anything.
Yeah.
And Mitch knows how I feel about him as a player. He's a star, which he is a star. I mean, he's not telling us anything we don't know. Mitch, of course, Marner's a star.
But here's the thing. Brad Treliving can only talk about what he likes. Mitch Marner, the player, controls his destiny as well. He's got a no-move clause in his contract, and he's under contract for a year. So, if they work together and either get an extension or they move on from him, like he's privy, he controls the whole situation. So Brad, I think, can only say what he can talk about, and that's, the guy's a star player. We love him, type of thing. That's what I got out of it. But it's, last year, though, when Brad took over, he was definitive. Like, my top priorities are Austin Matthews and William Nylander. Mm-hmm. Hasn't said that here.
Yeah, that probably does stick out a little bit. Like, we're reading between the lines here.
Yeah, that's not fair.
But no, I think it is. You're right. I mean, he was very clear. Austin and Willie were signing them. He could have said, my top priority is signing Mitch Marner. Like, he could have done that today. He could have done it at any point. He did not definitively say that. So basically, I don't know. This is only going to lead to more speculation because I don't think he answered a thing. You know, I don't. Either way, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that means it's 100% he's coming back, but he could have said anything. And yes, you're right. Marner has the no move, and I believe Austin had. I think Willie had a lot of power too.
I don't know. It's dangerous for us to speculate because then it could change tomorrow, right? Like you could say, but we've been trying to decipher this. These codes. What's Draisaitl saying? What didn't he say? Now what's Tree saying and what didn't he say? Like, and unless something definitively happens, we're all going to sit here and speculate.
Yeah,
I always wonder why you have the presser and
say nothing. Basically, like that's kind of what Struddy's joking about. Like, what's the point of a like? I guess it's not bad protocol to, and he'll speak. Treliving will speak after the draft. Course on who they picked, how it went, what went down. He'll speak after free agency. And there's nothing to be done right now. He did say they haven't closed the door on any of their UFA defensemen. I guess that's Lyubushkin. I guess Brody,
Edmondson.
although I don't see that happening. Edmondson. Mark Giordano said this week through his agent, I believe, he wants to keep playing. Like, Gio wants to keep playing and believes he can keep playing. I don't know if that happens again here in Toronto, but I mean, it'll be for a league minimum.
Yeah, that might be a last kind of like a signing before training camp type of thing once things shake out. Gio's a friend of the show. I played with him, love the guy. We all love Gio. If he thinks he's got game, I don't know if Tree would bring him back or another organization brings him in as a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's won a Norris. He's in unbelievable shape. Like, maybe he comes in as a number 7 for somebody, but helps young defensemen grow. Like,
there's value in that. Listen, he knows he's not going to make a lot of money. That's not why he's playing. It'll be a league minimum thing. He's great in the room. He's a guy that knows his role at this point in his career. He had some fights this year where he felt like he had to step in for guys.
Yeah,
and I have a great appreciation for that at his age. He doesn't have to do that. He wants to do that, and he knows he can. Corey Perry's another guy. Like, Perry's up. What's going to happen with Corey Perry?
You want me to get silly here?
Get crazy.
I think the Leafs should sign him.
Well, I said that when he was available a few months ago. I thought so too.
Even for silly, here's the crazy part.
Get him to the Cup final and
exactly.
lose.
The guy ends up in the Cup final every year.
So wouldn't it be when was the bubble year? How long ago was that now? Where he couldn't find anywhere to play, but it was Montreal, and he was just sitting there.
Yeah, that was 4 years ago now.
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 years
3
ago.
or 4 years ago. Yeah.
So 4 years later, you're going to say, yeah, come on board? I don't know, man. I love the guy, but
I heard an unbelievable story about him. Is like a couple games into his tenure with the Edmonton Oilers. Like, this guy hasn't played in a couple months because of the Chicago thing. Shows up in Edmonton. They're a pretty tight-knit team, like, in the room. And apparently after the first period, the team didn't have a good start. And he stood up and was like, what are you guys doing here? Like, kind of like chewed on him a little bit. It's like 2 games into his tenure there. And, like, showed his leadership as like, I don't know what you guys are doing here, but that's unacceptable. And
bring him in.
But like that's
bring
the type
him aboard,
of stuff.
League
like,
minimum.
Apparently, he's very, very he lives and breathes hockey, and he's very well liked, very well respected. The one thing that they didn't show on TV the other night, I watched McDavid. He was the last guy off the ice. Corey Perry was the second last guy, and McDavid and him hugged for like 10 seconds. They were talking to each other. It was pretty interesting. Like I don't know.
I saw that. They did show that. I saw that. That was. An interesting. Listen, Perry's gotten the short end of the stick, man. He's been in the Cup final. What is it? 4 times in the last 5 years with 4 different teams.
Yeah.
Dallas, Montreal, Tampa, and now Edmonton. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But there'll be a market for him.
Well,
there'll be a market, 100%.
I'm getting crazy. I was just saying, like you want. There's an opportunity for a veteran guy who's not going to ask for a lot.
Okay, let's do it. Let's make. Well, I mean, you already have Reeves here, I guess, at 1.3 on the 4th line right wing.
Yeah.
But that's the question: can Perry be a depth guy? We'll find out the next week or so. All right. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web. We appreciate that. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.